So welcome back to the channel, guys. A bit of a false start for me this morning, well this afternoon. I ended up forgetting the clip for my camera, so I couldn't actually put it onto my helmet, which obviously made me not be able to actually vlog. But in the meantime, I did catch some footage of the actual subject which we'll be talking about today, which is the Metzler Karoo Street. Not to be confused with the Karoo Street 3, because they are quite a bit of a different tyre, I believe. Oh, that's traffic lights, that's alright. Yeah, so we'll catch you back up in a minute after you've watched that. Welcome back. Anyway, the Karoo Streets. This will be a review / opinion of the Karoo Streets. The front, I believe, is the stock tyre on the bike, but the rear is not. The rear is an actual retail. For yous out there that don't know, there is a difference between a retail of the tyre. So basically, there's a difference between the retail version of that tyre and the stock tyres you get of that tyre on a stock bike, because the manufacturer basically has a shed load off the tyre manufacturer, so they're slightly less tread, maybe not a dual compound or a tri-compound, it might be just a single, so on and so forth. So the rear tyre is what you'd expect from a retail version, and the front is basically a OEM, just to make you aware, because there is something, I wouldn't say wrong, I wouldn't say wrong as such. It's just that I've noticed, although I'm not 100% whether it's the tyre or the bike, but I'll come back to that later on and let you know. I don't know why there's a fucking full Arctic lorry coming down this way, but anyway, yeah, so we'll come back to that subject later in the video. But for now, obviously, it's a 80/20 tyre, I believe it's down as. So it's not a full road tyre, and it's not really an exceptional off-road tyre for as they go. What am I comparing it with? I've not really got a lot to compare it with, really. My brother's bike had some Anarchy Adventures on, which are around about the same type, so they're like an 80/20 as well. And I would say they're probably on par. I'd say in the wet, the Anarchies are a little bit better. In wet conditions, they seem to have a bit more of a softer rubber. I believe they do wear down a little quicker, mind. So there is that, I suppose. So it's depending on if you want more grip or less grip, and more grip and less longevity, or more longevity but slightly less grip in the wet. Anyway, so my opinion on these tyres for an 80/20 are pretty positive. They are a good tyre. They do fine off-road, gravel, compacted soil kind of stuff. They do tend to really lose out as soon as it gets muddy, but to be honest, unless you're running a full knobbly or something like that, you're never going to get that kind of grip from a road tyre anyway. No matter, well, you're not going to get a grip on a road tyre that's nice on the roads, because obviously the more knobbly you go, the worse it is on the roads for you. So to get that balance is pretty hard. So the length, how many miles they last? Right, so the mileage I've had out of this rear tyre is around about, I think off the top of my head, it's about 7,500. It is slightly squared off, but I did do a 5-day trip up Scotland, 2 up, and for yous that don't know, Scotland Highland roads can be pretty chewy on the tyres, so they do wear the tyres down a little quicker, so take that into consideration when you're thinking about buying a set of these. So yeah, so I'd say out of the whole life for a set, I'd say you can comfortably get on a bike with this kind of horsepower and sort of my riding style, which isn't exactly, I wouldn't say exactly sort of boring, is I'd probably go 9, maybe 10 if you ride on the slightly slower side, or you do more of a nice touring kind of riding. So yeah, so they get great mileage for the tyres, and they're not incredibly expensive. I forgot to actually look up how much they actually were, so if I remember, I'll leave a bit of a thing down the bottom on how expensive they are for a set for this bike, which is your typical 90/90 and 150/70, I think, on the rear. So yeah, so longevity is pretty good all round. The level of dry grip, I would say at the beginning I actually thought it had quite a nice amount of grip, but I've noticed as I've got further down the tyre doesn't seem to kind of warm up as quick. So unless you've been riding a while, the tyre is almost like cold. It's not physically cold, but it's not got as much kind of elasticity in the actual rubber to grip up. So I have noticed I've lost traction a few times, or my TCS has kicked in a few times unexpectedly when I've just been rolling on the power when normally it wouldn't. So, but I think that's down to obviously the size of the blocks on the tread, and I will give you a look on what they look like when I actually get to my destination, on what they actually look like. But yeah, the tread kind of wears down, so I don't think it moves as much. Well, that's what my opinion is anyway. I don't think it moves as much, so it doesn't generate the same amount of heat that it once did when it was bigger and blockier type thing. In general, for everyday use, dry grip is pretty decent, but you do have to be a bit wary in the wet. Mainly probably the horsepower and torque of the bike, but it does tend to break traction quite easily in the wet. They're not incredibly, don't get me wrong, you can still roll and go around corners just at the speed of what you'd normally do. I have had the front end sort of dip away from me a little on roundabouts and stuff when I was in Scotland, but it was slightly wet, and obviously it was your typical roundabout where it tends to be quite smooth. So yeah, so you tend to get a lot of slippiness on the roundabouts anyway, so I probably wouldn't put that down to the tyre as much, really. I'd probably put it down as just obviously the road surface not being as good, but it's something you need to watch out for on roundabouts in general, no matter what tyre you have on. But obviously with these in the wet, I had a lot more confidence doing that in like a pair of Road 6s on my old MT-09, which was phenomenal in the wet. So to give you a kind of ballpark, I know they're a completely different tyre and they were on a different bike, but if the Road 6s were a 10 out of 10 for wet, which they pretty much are, I would say these were probably, I'd say, a solid 5 to 6 in the wet. And dry weather wise, I'd probably say they're a good solid, all round, I'd probably say they're a good solid 6 to 7 as well. Nice little bikes they are, Trident 660. But yeah, so the overall dry grip is pretty good, wet grip is pretty good, just not phenomenal, or not, I wouldn't say confident inspiring, but they're not, I wouldn't kind of trust them going too quick a pace with them tyres on, compared to like a set of Road 6s or like S22s or stuff like that, that I've had on my previous MT-09. It is a bigger bike, so you've got to take that into consideration, I suppose. what else can I say about the tyres? They look alright for people that like aesthetic type tyres. They look not bad. They're not symmetrical down the actual line of the tyre like most tyres are. They have got a bit of a wavy, which I'll come back to later on and talk about. And yeah, they're not bad looking tyre, so they aren't bad at all look wise. But yeah, I'd say it overall. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to reserve what I'm going to think overall of these tyres until I actually get the other tyres I'm going to put on, because then that will give me a bit more of an idea of really how well these tyres are or aren't. More so on the same bike, the same power, the same rider and everything else. So I think that would be a bit more of a oh, that was the car park I was going to go in. Let me turn around. Yeah, so I think that would be a bit more fair. But yeah, they're a nice feeling tyre. I quite like them on this. Yeah, they're not no sports tyre, but do you really want a sports tyre on a big bike like this? Especially when you go off road like I do. Right, so I was talking about the bad point on these tyres, these Metzler Karoo Streets, not the Street 3s. These are just the Streets. Right, if you look at that pattern on the front like that, right, how you've got the bigger block on the opposite side, right? I thought, yeah, didn't think nothing of it, but I had to do a couple of quite heavy braking, and well, I know a lot of people might say, yeah, I was gripping the two bars too tight or whatever, but I actually did it again on a perfect smooth tarmac, and I gripped the tank with my legs, rested my stomach up against the tank so I wasn't heavy on the handlebars one bit, and literally went on the brakes, and you get this weird wobble feeling and the whole bike wants to wobble. It's a bit like if you've ever been on track, or you've ever been on a super sports bike and you've come into a corner and you're braking really heavy and you're making the back wheel lighten up. Do you know if you just push on the handlebars a little, either way, you can make the back end spin, like come out like Rossi? Well, basically it's a bit like it's doing that automatically. It's weird. I don't know if it's the bike or the tyre or the combination of both, but I'll know when I get new tyres whether it does it. If it stops when I get new tyres, it was definitely the tyres. But looking at that pattern, I'm thinking it's the tyres. And if you want to know what I mean, I'm going to go out now on my way home. I'm going to find a nice bit of road that I can get up to a decent enough speed and there's no cars behind me, and then I'll show you. I'll brace myself, I'll come on the brakes, and you'll be able to see the input that it does. And that's not me pushing on it like you do to try and do a Rossi into a corner. That's just how the bike acts when you're heavy on the brakes. So yeah, so I'll put that footage in now. Try down here a bit more. But yeah, it's only when you're really heavy braking it does it. No, look. Yeah, the Karoo Streets from Metzler. I'd recommend them. I definitely would, for a person that generally rides mostly road but does do the odd gravel road, or kind of compacted kind of soil kind of type roads. They're alright tyre. They are pretty decent. I've like I said before in the bit before in the video, they had a few leery moments in Scotland, but I think that's down to probably more road condition rather than actual the tyres themselves. Hope you found this video interesting and informative. I do need to try and do some more of the kind of reviews and stuff, but as people who know me, I do actually work a normal 9 till 5, well 7 till 3 job, so obviously I'm quite busy most of it,
and then obviously having a bit of social life and actually getting out on the bike as well at weekends. I don't have a lot of time. I am going to try and stop putting a bit more time into the channel for you guys, because I have had quite a bit people subscribe, which is nice. So yeah, don't forget to hit that, and give me a thumbs up as well if you've found the video useful. But yeah, it's I'm starting to enjoy doing the videos and stuff now. So it's been nice today, and it's been a blast doing this video, so hope you've enjoyed it and it's been informative for you. But yeah, I'm going to put the cameras down and I'm actually going to go out and enjoy a bit of a ride. So till then, catch you later in a bit.